We must have been having some fun in the last show. The sounds are like spiking.
Well, don't we have fun every show?
We do. Okay.
But we just came up the elevator again. I love that.
Yeah. And this is the part that I'm always worried about, is if I've put everybody's names, if I spelled everybody properly. You know?
Should we start the show again to make sure we spelled everybody's names correctly?
No, we won't do it this time.
Okay. We can fix it on the fly, though. You're a wizard.
We always do.
Okay.
We always try to.
I'm super pumped about today's show. And my own selfish reason is that I know so many amazing people in the dental industry.
Yeah.
And this guest that we have on today.
And I don't know what it is about Calgary and like just, you know.
We really have a Calgary connection, don't we?
We do, you know. Gordon Chee, right?
Not that we don't love Vancouver. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean,
Alberta, maybe we need to move this whole thing.
You can talk to my wife about that one. You can ask her.
And our guest is trying to speak and just getting drowned by sound here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to it.
Okay, so super excited. We've got Dr. Noor Jaffer on the show from Trec Dental in Calgary. Jan, how are you?
Great, thanks, guys. Doing really well. And you're joking about coming to Calgary. I think the whole country's moving here right now, and it's cheaper to live here and good wages. I mean, we've got some pretty good growth happening.
Good dentistry too.
Yeah,
we'll give you a little.
And here we are in Vancouver, where the price per square foot is. I can actually feel my heart getting a little bit.
I'm
getting some pain in my chest.
Don't start with you're going to get your palpitations again.
Goodness.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show. We're super pumped to have you. Obviously, we've been following a lot of your content and what you're doing, and in my opinion, you're a visionary. Really sort of changing the fabric of dentistry. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing with Trec Dental. So without further ado, do you mind just jumping in and giving us some of your backstory? How did you get into dentistry?
Yeah, absolutely. So fortunate, my father's actually a dentist. So I joined my father back just now 21 years ago. So it seems like it was just yesterday, but it's 21 years ago. I went to school down in the States, lucky to get into a specialized program down there that allowed me to do dental school in 5 years with undergrad. So at 22, I was graduated and ready to do dentistry, and joined my father in his practice. And just last week, we had 42 years at that practice. So that practice has been around for 42 years now.
Wow. That's amazing.
Is this your dad here beside you? Well, it's not coming up. Never mind. Let's bring you back.
Is it Dr. Noor Jaffer?
It is. Yeah. That's my father. And joined him in 2002 when I graduated, and then we got an interesting opportunity in 2004 to open up a clinic with some doctors and chiropractors, physios, massage therapists, like kind of a multidisciplinary clinic. And we thought, hey, this is a really cool idea. The funny thing is the clinic did really well. The whole multidisciplinary didn't. We all have 4 separate businesses that share a waiting room. But that was our foray into having a second practice. And then, fast forward another couple of practices. And, here we are in 2023 with 18 practices here in Calgary.
21 years later.
Yeah.
After graduating, yeah. So when you say the multidisciplinary, would you say that was it too early for that concept for the market to understand, or?
No, I think what happened is, again, there's doctors, there's optometry, and then there's kind of rehab. And what it ended up being is that everybody just got busy, and we're busy and they're busy. And so it's like, yeah, you could refer between clinics, but dentistry doesn't really refer to doctors, necessarily. You need a GP. Obviously, we want people to be healthy. And, dentistry does do some work with chiro, physio, massage, but, you sometimes have specialized people that are working that area. So I think everybody got busy. And so we're still all successful. All 4 businesses are still running under that same, place, like in the same location, but we just aren't, it's not a single clinic with 4 disciplines. It's a medical clinic, it's a dental clinic, it's we share waiting room space, which has been great for us because, again, finding patients, where do you find them? Well, they walk into a doctor's office, they're like, hey, I need a dentist. I'm like, oh, well, great. So I think our growth grew faster because we were next to doctors.
Yeah, patient traffic.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You need a doctor? Turn around. There's one right behind you there.
Yeah,
that's right. We're here.
Very cool. So you started out multidisciplinary, and then and you've grown over the last few years to a multitude of locations. So what was that process like for you?
People always say, well, how many clinics do you have? How'd you plan that? What are you trying to get to? And the short answer is, as much as people won't like this in the business world, it was not planned. Our goal was not to run a number of dental clinics. Our goal was to run one clinic really well, and then it was 2 clinics really well. And then all of a sudden we kept having associates join us. You open a second clinic, you need more hands. And the associate's like, well, I want to stay. And we're like, okay, but we don't have any room for you. We already have a partner. I mean, me and my dad are partners. And so when we opened the second clinic, we found an associate and she's like, hey, can I buy in? And we're like, yeah. So Jody's been our partner for now 17 years. And then she went on a mat leave and somebody else came in and they said, well, how do I become a partner? And I was like, well, we don't have a location. They're like, well, could you build something? And we got a great lease. And so we built another office and then, Jody went on another mat leave and we found another dentist and they wanted to be a partner. And it's actually been really interesting. When you do the right things, we talk about this a lot. It's like, you take kids and if you feed them and you take good care of them and you do really good, they just grow. Like naturally life is around growing. And, you take a plant and you take care of it and you talk to it and you water it and it grows. And so for us, the growth has been so unintentional, but so natural because that's what's just happened. We've gotten bigger because we've kept finding people that it's allowed us to continue to grow in Calgary. And again, do we have an ambition of having 20 clinics next year if I talk to you guys again? No. Will we? Maybe. But right now we're happy with our 18 clinics. And I know somebody's going to come down the road and say, hey, here's a new lease in a new area. We do mostly de novo, mostly new build clinics. So we're not generally buying clinics. I mean, we bought a couple, but most of our clinics are just straight out of the ground. We put up, a building and build it out the way we want to. And we found that to be more successful because of culture, because of team. When you build it the way you want it, it's not hard. You don't have to change anything. When you take something over, it's like moving the Titanic. Like it's hard to move it quickly.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I got to ask without sharing the secret sauce. Obviously, in your mind of minds, what are the top 3 things that make a successful dental practice?
So, I mean, I'll always go back to our values, and teamwork is our first value, right? Trec is 4 values: teamwork, respect, exceptional dentistry, continuous and never-ending improvement. And so if you wanted 4 things that are really important, I mean, teamwork.
Yeah, of course. Give us more than 3.
Respect.
You got bonus points.
Exceptional dentistry is really important, and always learning, really important. But, for us, it's team first. I mean, there's no question that is the value that trumps everything. And it's how do you build team? How do you treat your team? How do you grow your team? And most people in the dental industry, and this is what kind of makes us, I think, different, apart from the social responsibility, and we can talk to that. But if we stay on the business side of things right now, is that we're probably the only we are the only DSO, but probably not only the only DSO, but one of the few dental clinics in the world that have no targets, no budgets, and no bonuses.
That takes the heat off, doesn't it?
Well, the focus goes back to patients. Because what are we trying to do?
Absolutely.
We're just trying to treat patients really well.
Yeah.
And what we found is the better we do that, the more successful we are.
It's kind of a no-brainer, I guess, right?
It's crazy how simple it is.
Yeah.
And I talk to dentists all over the world. I was just lecturing in Vegas 2 weeks ago, and I was lecturing on stage with another DSO, and I said, I'm going to tell you the secret, and you're not going to do it. And I'm going to tell everybody in the room the secret, and none of you will do it. And then the guy went on to kind of argue with me about how bonuses are so important and how to get everybody aligned to their values. And I'm like, which one of your values is profit? He's like, no, profit's not one of our values. I said, which one of your values is production? He's like, well, production's not one of our values. So I said, so how do bonuses that, in your opinion, promote productivity and profit fall into your values? He's like, well, our values are people. I'm like, okay, so this is something that I 100% believe in, that you cannot be a value-based organization and pay bonuses on production or profit, unless that's one of your values. Because I mean, how could you? You can only, if your values-based, your pay should be based on values.
Yeah, you know what? We can have a whole 2-hour conversation just on this topic. Like I couldn't agree more. Like if we're looking at the numbers and not the people, what's his name? Virgin Airlines.
Richard Branson.
Yeah, Richard Branson. Isn't he coins like if you take care of your people first, they'll take care of you. Like
I use that quote all the time. Take care of people first, they'll take care of the clients.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, him too. It's all about the people. It really is. And if you nurture those people, and they feel welcome, and it will give you that healthy environment.
Okay, but I got a question about this. So is it a general, like I know there's values and beliefs and philosophies, but when you're looking after your people, is it like how granular are you getting? Are you really sort of like, is it figuring out a personality assessment? Like how is it setting expectations and saying, does it feel like this culture will be a good fit for you? I'm just sort of curious how when people come into your business, how that conversation usually goes.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. How do you find people right now? It's almost impossible,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, so it's a challenge to find people. So you got to keep people, right? I mean, that's the big thing. Is retaining is more important than finding, but people turn over, and you need to find people. I spend 4 hours with every new employee. Now I do it in groups. I don't do it 4 hours one-on-one, but every quarter we'll have a few people because we're growing. Join our organization, and I'll spend 4 hours with them, talking about our values and talking about our beliefs, and why we do the things that we do. And people ask me, I've had a lot of conversation with people. I was like, well, don't you make enough after you had one clinic, after you have two clinics? And I'm like, for sure. But here's the thing that we know, that we can treat people better, our teams. And if we do that, our clients will actually have a better experience. And if you go online and check any of our Google reviews at any of our offices, I mean, we have 400 to 500 average Google reviews at our offices, over a 4.9. The patient has a better experience, and it allows us to do more for society. And that's the kicker at the end, is that the more hands we have, the more that we do, the more that we end up making at the end of the day, allows us to give back more. And what we've done is we've built a culture on, taking care of our people. One of the things that we do that we find so important is we close each office 3 days a year. And we only work on team development on those 3 days. We don't talk about how to do a better filling. We don't talk about how to make a better temporary crown. We don't talk about rubber dams. We talk about, the last one was positive assumption. How do we assume the best in others?
That's great.
We talked about empathy. We talked about, this year it's be the change is our kind of mantra. If you look at my shirt here, it said mindset.
Mindset. I was going to say, yeah, I love it.
2 years ago, that was our concept, was mindset matters. So I'm wearing our shirt from our team development 2 years ago.
I want one.
But yeah, I don't know if we have these ones left, but I could probably get you a be the change one.
That'll be a medium too, right?
Yeah, right. Extra large, please.
But it's interesting because we focus on team first. We don't focus on patient first. Patient is not the most important thing in our organization. It is taking care of our team, making sure that they're healthy, both physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, taking care of all aspects of their lives. And we do. We talk about family. And I know that it's actually been interesting. I think over the last little bit, people have said, you shouldn't talk about your work as family. I'm like, it's the family I choose, because you choose to be with me and I choose to be with you. You don't get to choose your brother. You don't get to choose your cousin. You don't get to choose your mom and dad, but you get to choose the people that you work with. And our staff gets to choose us. And I think that's one of the important parts too, because they could go down the street and find a job with anybody. There is 1 million job openings in dentistry right now. Mm-hmm. And why do they choose us? It's not because of money. And people will never understand that. We removed bonuses 11 years ago. I remember, because I read a book by Daniel Pink called Drive. And I came back. I was actually on an overseas trip to India, came back, and I said, you know what? What's our average bonus for our team member? And it was running around $2, $180 to $220 per hour per staff member. So I came back and I said, everybody gets a $2 raise. The bonuses are done. How happy do you think the team was? They didn't have to worry anymore.
Yeah. There's like I said earlier, like the heat is off. Like they can just focus on.
And we grew exponentially since. Mm-hmm. Our bottom line has actually gotten better since.
You know what? I think people tend to forget that it's about human beings and we're not robots. Right?
Yeah. And it's not a performance-based bonus, right? So I think that when people hear the word performance, they automatically assume I'm going to be adjudicated based on my performance. Yeah. It's whenever I have that conversation about someone about getting into sales, the first place someone's mind goes is, well, I don't want to be compensated based on my performance as a sales rep, because there's a lot of insecurity there.
Well, and again, we'll go back to like the human side of things. Like, I'm sorry, but I try my best every day, but sometimes like the variables that are outside of your control dictate the outcome, right? And if that cuts right into your your financial situation, that's tough.
Yeah, and so I tell people that, right? Like if I am supposed to, as a dentist, produce $5,000 a day, and let's just pick that number because it's easy, and I'm at 4,500, do I make up two cavities to get to 5,000?
That's a
Well,
slippery,
no. I mean,
slippery
everybody's
slope.
going to be
Yeah.
like, "That's crazy. You wouldn't do that." So then, what's the performance based in dentistry? Like, am I creating dental work to do? Am I making stuff up? It's like, well, no. I'm going to do my best every single day, treat the patients as well as I can, do the best quality work that I can, and diagnose based on what I think is best for the patient. But guess what? If our doc does 2,000 a day, or 5,000 a day, or 3,000 a day, there's no like bonus for the team because the doctor produced more. So
Um,
when we go into offices, there's no conversation around, hey, what's the target? Like our team leads, we don't call them office managers, we call them team leads. Um, they have no metrics, zero metrics to work at in an office.
I love that.
Apart
that's
from
cool.
Google reviews, actually. So I lied. Google reviews are one.
Hey, that's great for SEO. It's
super
super
important.
important. Yeah.
Google
You
review
need your reviews
or,
for sure.
metric. Yeah.
So that's the team. So you got a new associate that wants to be a part. Like how? Like what does mentorship look like then?
So that's something that, honestly, we think we do well and then we struggle with simultaneously because, we don't hire dentists out of school generally, unless we're putting them at one of our offices with a senior doc that has enough time to then mentor because we're big on doing good quality work and mentoring and giving the associate the best opportunity. And so to put an associate by themselves, and again, unfortunately in the DSO world, you see this often. It's like, oh, nobody wants to work the Saturday. Nobody wants to work the Sunday. Oh, here's a new grad, put them in.
Right.
That's
Yep.
not good for anybody. It's not good for the grad. It's not good for the dentist. It's not good for the office. It's not good for the patients. And so for us, we're really picky, right? I mean, we want to find the people that we can mentor, and we do work with them. And again, we hold our dentists to a standard of some of it's on them. They've got to follow us around. We have 18 clinics. There's lots of docs. There's a partner, and so this is another thing. There's a partner in every office. So each office has a partner that owns that office, that runs that office. And you can go watch any of our docs. And so we actually ask the associates, hey, on your day off, go watch one of our other docs. And here's the thing. To be completely honest, it works well sometimes, but you have this, and again, I don't want to overgeneralize our millennial population. Some of them, that day off is more important than learning, which is sad for me because when I was growing up, when I was following my dad, if I didn't have a patient, I was in his operatory watching him work. Like every single hour I didn't have a patient, I was sitting there watching. And these days, getting somebody to come in on their day off to learn at another office, be like, hey, go watch this guy. He's going to go do a couple of endos and he's doing some extractions today. Go watch him. And they're like, nah, it's my Friday off. I'm going to go, I don't know, do something else, right? Yeah. So I find it's harder these days to get the mentorship done, to be completely honest, unless we handhold and go into their office. And all of our docs work. So it's hard to do that sometimes. And so it's a constant struggle for us, to be honest.
And I think it's a mind shift in the last generation or so. I mean, I'm certainly pre-millennial. I know you can't tell I'm pre-millennial, but I am. It's a common mistake.
A couple of years out,
just a couple of years out. But I think that it's the prioritizing the lifestyle, right? And it's like you said, it's a challenge, right? I mean, I think we all face that to a certain degree. Where it's now my son who's 14, who's not a millennial, he's on the other side of the spectrum, and coming in at it from like a late millennial where he's like, it's all lifestyle. I'm like, well, now you need to bring some work into the fold. Like, you got to do something productive, dude. Like, come on. So I agree with you.
It is interesting. And it's a challenge that we're seeing post-COVID as well. People coming back to work, finding people. And this is the thing that I think helps us as an organization because we're not target and bonus and all this based, and we spend so much time. I mean, it was interesting. When I was at this conference, somebody was asking, like, what does it cost you to close your 3 offices? And I was like, I've never done that calculation. And then we started doing it together, and we figured out production and cost-wise, probably $750,000 to close 18 offices 3 days a year.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's an investment.
But I know what you're going to say here. Like
the team, we're more successful because of it. Like we're actually trying to add days. Like we're like, hey, can we add a 4th day in the year to do some more work with our teams? Like this year, we're taking everybody. We're going to do some camping. We're going to go out to a camp outside of Calgary and do some team development out there. and I just finished our team development. And again, I run most of these sessions. This is my passion. My passion is to build team. And so, we had in March and April, we had our 18 clinics go through. We tried to get 2 clinics at a time, so I only had to do it 9 times. It ended up being 10. I spent an hour talking about, again, positive assumption, empathy, active listening. And we spent about an hour of time doing that. And then we went into a kitchen, and it's called Made by Mamas. And we cooked, on average, 400 to 500 meals per group for mothers that just don't have the ability to afford the food, or they're struggling because they've just had a baby. And so we always make sure each one of our events has some sort of socially conscious focus.
I love that. That's great.
Can I ask a very granular question? Can you teach somebody empathy?
So I think by asking the right questions.
Okay.
So empathy goes into, I asked the team when we were talking about empathy, said, define empathy. It's putting myself in your shoes, right? That would be the average definition. I mean, you can come up with different ones, but it's putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. So I said, well, how do you put yourself in somebody else's shoes? Well, you ask questions. And then the hardest part about that is then listening. Here's our problem, is that we ask really bad questions. Humans are notorious for asking bad questions. Hey, how you feeling? Good. How's your day? Good. Bad questions.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
then
Leading
we don't
questions.
actually listen to the answer.
Yeah.
So we ask a question, we don't listen to the answer. I mean, how many times have you gone to a party and talked to somebody, and then 5 minutes later you're like, I don't even know what we talked about. Like, I have no idea what that conversation was about. Mm-hmm. And so what we understand is that in order to build empathy, you have to ask it questions, and then you have to listen and actively listen. And if you do both of those, I believe you can actually build empathy.
I like the word build.
And I heard this quote somewhere, like we were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should probably listen more.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there was a bit of a joke as I was putting this together. One of my team members showed me a meme, and she says, "How do you know that your husband won't tell your deepest, darkest secret to any of their friends?" And again, I did this with my teams. I told them this meme, and of course, dentistry is run by women, so most of the people in the room are women, and they all just laughed and they said, "Oh, because he wasn't listening in the first place." And it's like, that's the answer, right? Like, he wasn't listening, and I was like, "Yeah, the number of conversations I've had with my wife, when she's like, 'Are you even listening to me?' And I'm like, yeah, I'm listening."
What did I just say,
Jen? This is a tangent that we maybe shouldn't go down, because we're all going to get into a lot of trouble here.
We're going to get a lot of trouble. And somebody showed me one more, and I'll just tell you that it was like, I didn't know when I got a husband that the ears were extra. Right? we just don't listen, and men are worse at it than women. Women do listen better than men, but men don't listen well, and women don't. I mean, generally people don't listen well, and so listening is a big part. I mean, think of your patients. Mm-hmm. Your patients are telling you stories all the time.
Yeah. Are
you keeping track of that? Are you writing some notes down? We call it the we know yous. And do you take some notes? And do you make sure that you can connect with the patient after listening to their story, right? Like, how do we do a new patient exam? Every new patient's put in a consult group. We spend 10 minutes with them before they go to the operatory, and we spend a full hour with every new patient as a dentist before they go to hygiene.
Yeah.
Because
listening.
I want to build a relationship. Like, that's the only thing I have with the patient, is building trust and building a relationship, because there's another million dentists down the street that they could go see. And they're going to stay with me because they trust me. Our staff is going to stay with us because they trust us.
And you're treating the person, not the disease, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny because I did I did my training. My university degree was in theater, so I have a BFA in fine arts, and I was an actor for about 15 years in the Vancouver film industry. And as an actor, and I'm not drawing a parallel, but there are some similarities where, as an actor, you're always trying to find the truth in the scene. You're trying to make it as authentic as you can, especially for film, because film picks up every little nuance. And same thing, where the more you can listen, the more you can take in, the more you can actively hear from your scene partner, the more authentic the scene became, and acting became, it wasn't work anymore. So I always find when I watch actors working in movies and film and TV, the first thing I'll say, Katrina will be like, "Hey, you used to be an actor. What do you think of that performance?" I'm like, the actor was just working too hard. They're working too hard to conjure a performance. They were trying to portray a character. If they were just listening to their scene partner and really empathizing with what their scene partner was telling them in a real truthful manner, they don't have to work as hard.
Like we're all doing this thing together, right? It's like, I think the lack of empathy, obviously you were looking at selfish quality types, where do
I
you
would say selfish. I just think like we're just, society kind of wears us down.
Yeah,
to
fair
not
enough.
really
But
listen to
like,
each other.
can you see past yourself, right? Like, and I think in a lot of situations, if you can see further than yourself, your own situation's going to be better as a result. If you can work better with others, if you're looking for an outcome that is self-serving, I think I don't know. That does work in a lot of cases, right? But
No, but it's so true, right? Because that's where it goes back to that whole, like, even again, it goes right back to the production thing. It's not about me. I'm not trying to make more money by hitting something. I'm just working with my team to treat these patients really well. And all of a sudden, it's an us phenomenon, not an I phenomenon. And
Becomes a
if you can
dialogue.
change it to us, we, not me, everything changes and it becomes easier. That's what the other thing people don't understand is that when you have a great team around you, your life becomes easier. Things become easier. You have more support, right? We talk about what your job is when you come in. It's to help somebody else win. It's to make sure that the rest of the team is successful, because if they're successful, they're going to help you win and we're going to be successful together. And then it just becomes easy, because dentistry is tough, right? Like, I don't think the public really understands what 8 hours of dentistry looks like. There's no Starbucks in the middle of the day. You can't just stop and go for coffee. It's like you have 8 hours of patience and you get a lunch, hopefully, not always, but you have 8 hours of patience, and it's one after another, and somebody's always waiting for you. And as a dentist, if you're not doing your patients, you're doing recalls. And a hygienist, I mean, they are stuck in their room for 8 hours a day. And so they really need to be feeling like they're part of a team and that they've got somebody supporting them and that they're enjoying themselves, right? Like, where does fun come into work? Well, if it's targets, it's not fun.
Yeah.
If it's enjoying yourself and making sure patients smile and they leave you a good review, well, now you need to start having some fun.
Yeah. How do you address the teammates that have a really tough time with accepting help? Because that's another side of the spectrum too. Some people just have a tough time with, getting help.
Right. So yeah, and we talk about this is kind of that whole feedback mechanism, and how do we want to get better? So the one question I ask all the teams as they come on is that, tell me if you want to get better. And they're like, absolutely, I want to get better. I'm like, well, if you want to get better, there's only a few ways of doing it. One, you go to school and you learn how to do something. The other thing is you practice, and you practice over and over and you get better. And then the last one is you find a coach, a mentor, to get some feedback. And, the way we talk about it, everybody in the office is able to give you feedback. You've got mentorship around you, because I think the dentist should get feedback from the assistant. I think the assistant get feedback from the hygienist. Like, it doesn't matter which position you are in the office. Everybody has something to teach. And so for us, it's like, well, if you want to get better, you have to be open to feedback. And the only way you're going to get feedback, because people don't like giving feedback because they feel like, somebody might get offended, is to ask for it. And so you need to get comfortable in asking for feedback, and that'll make you better, and that'll help you continue to improve. And so that's what we try to teach our teams, is get comfortable asking for feedback.
Is this stuff you're keeping track of with your team? Like, you keep a profile in each member and their own personal growth, or is that kind of like up to them to document?
Yeah, we don't really document a lot, to be completely honest. Again, we just have these meetings and we talk to them about what they should do. And then, we do reviews like every office and see how they're kind of holding up and the rest. But no, we're not doing any personality. And I think you asked at the beginning, any personality profiles, although one of my docs has said, hey, can we do some disc profiling just to like get a feel for where our offices are? We did that like 10 years ago, and it was kind of cool.
That's fun.
And so we've talked about some of that stuff, but realistically at this point, we don't hire based on profiles, and we don't profile any of our staff.
What are your top 3 challenges right now?
Ooh, tough one.
I think, like anybody, staffing.
Yeah.
It still is a challenge, even though we retain people. I think staffing is a challenge. It's interesting right now, and again, I hate saying this sometimes because it feels like the ego takes over and you're boasting about what's going on, but we've had our best quarter in history. I mean, things are as busy as they can be for us. And so my challenges are just maintaining what's going on and making sure our teams are happy with the amount of work that's going on, because we're having trouble keeping up sometimes. I mean, that's really the honest truth. And again, people are like, well, okay, tell me what you're doing. And I'm like, I already told you what I'm doing, but you're not listening, right? Like, it's like, I told you what I'm doing, and you won't do it because you're too scared that it'll affect things. But, we've taken a lot of it out. Now, I believe that we're lucky we're in Alberta. So I do believe that there's an advantage in being in Alberta right now because people are moving here. So I do think that, just in a general market sense, Alberta is doing well. But why have we had the best 3 months in our history? I mean, we have to be doing something right,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's taking care of people. I mean, the number of dentists that have come, I mean, most of our average practice, I mean, they have 5 practices within a kilometer of all of them.
Yeah.
And yet we're still growing. And we don't do any marketing. None. We have some direct mail, which is a little funny because it's like the oldest way of doing anything. So we have some direct mail pieces that we've just kept on because it's like, things seem to be working.
There is still a result that comes out of it. Yeah.
Right. So we have some direct mail, but we don't do any SEO. We don't do we don't pay for any marketers. We don't pay for any sponsorship on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. We don't do any of that. We just really try to take care of our patients, and we do have good locations. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I've always said is that this is why we built our clinics, is that we try to build clinics in good locations. And if I can't build another clinic because the location's a B or a C, we just won't do it because we don't need to grow. I mean, we're not one of those DSOs that is trying to reach the next milestone, right? Every time I go to these conferences, again, it's just at that one, it's like, oh, hey, I'm at 25 and last year I was at 20 and this, I'm trying to get to, by the end of next year, that's what everybody says. By the end of next year, I'm going to be at 40 clinics. It's like,
it's all about that flagpole, right? Where are we putting that flagpole? Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because nobody actually talks about, well, what does your average clinic produce? Right? So you have 40 clinics doing 40 million and we have 18 clinics doing over 40 million. I don't know, which one would you run?
I always like to ask this question Tyler, this is kind of our mantra is what are you making per hour?
Or how much dentistry is in your practice?
Yeah.
You're spending marketing dollars.
I would have no idea because we don't do any metrics.
You don't?
You can answer that question. I have no idea.
Interesting.
We have, just to add to that, we have, people come to us and like, hey, Dentist on Demand, can you help put a marketing plan together for us? And the first thing we'll say is, well, how much dentistry do you think is within your practice? How much missed opportunity do you think is within your practice? So same thing, like if you have a well-oiled machine, you're probably finding more of that dentistry. You don't have to look outside your 4 walls to find it, right?
And it's a good segue to this next question. Do you have like a referral program? How are you asking for reviews? Is that an automated thing? And recall's huge because obviously, new patient acquisition is super important. But how are you, obviously you're giving the patient the best experience possible, but what systems are in place in the front end to make sure that they're, being contacted, I guess?
So referrals, we have no program with because you cannot in Alberta pay people to send people to you. So that's illegal. If anybody's doing it, if you have a board on the outside of your office, which a lot of people do, free toothbrush with new patient exam, also illegal. So we don't do anything like that.
Gotcha.
No referral program, no incentive to walk through our door, period. No incentives at all. I mean, you just come in, you're going to be one of our patients. We work with our hygienists to make sure that we're booking back 80 to 85% of our patients in the back. I mean, that's a goal for us. So, I mean, there's a metric maybe. We're not looking at production, but we're looking at book back rate. So we do look at book back rate and we say, hey, again, we don't give them a bonus for hitting 85%, but our expectation is 85% of patients get booked back in the back.
Pre-appointing, right?
Yeah, pre-appointed.
Yeah.
So, that's something that we're using. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what else you were asking just so I make sure that we...
referrals, you touch recall and then reviews. How are you asking for reviews? Because it's super important.
So in the past, I mean, so we do have an automated system of some sort that does get sent out. In the past, to be honest, we would just strictly ask our patients and then we would send them a link. So we would pick 5 to 10 patients a day that we thought had a great experience. I mean, you might as well pick the ones that have a great experience to ask for a review. I mean, it's just a smart thing to do. And then we would send them a link to Google or to Facebook, to do that. We do have, we have a number of systems that we use. We have Recall Max, we have Next Health, there's a bunch of systems out there that we do use. And so now a lot of this stuff is automated. So we do less, not less asking, but we don't have to send a link out anymore because the link just kind of gets sent out automatically.
Yeah, it's all automated. So there's less heavy lifting involved in data mining that information. Can we talk really quickly about community?
Yes, something that near and dear to us as well.
And we're probably getting close to the end here, Dr. Jaffer, but I do want to touch a little bit on community. You guys seem very visible in your community. You seem to be involved in quite a few events and in charity and whatnot. So can you tell us a little bit about, I mean, it sounds to me like your systems are so well-oiled, you have such a well-oiled machine that it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it kind of frees you up now to look outside and go, hey, what are we doing for our community?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that we, and probably could have started with this conversation, is that we start with community. So we think that giving back is a expectation on us living in Canada, right? I mean, you mentioned Simon Sinek at the beginning, obviously my favorite author and speaker, and my why is motivating people to live well and give back. Mm-hmm. So every conversation I have will have some level of social responsibility, because what we know is that we are lucky to be in dentistry. We're lucky to be in Canada. We're lucky to be in Calgary or Vancouver or anywhere in this country. But I mean, we're really lucky. And I talk to my staff about this all the time, that we complain a lot and we have first world problems. And we can help a lot of people out. But what we do as an organization that I think sets us apart is we try to make it really easy for our team. Because generally you have time or money. Very few people have time and money. And so how do you bring socially responsible activities into your office? So, when we did our last team build, we took our team to this place called Made by Mamas and we cooked, but that was part of their day. We go to Guatemala. So I take a team to Guatemala every year. I've been there 10 plus times, Peru, Ecuador, Tibet, Morocco, done over 15 mission trips. But really what we try to do is start with local and then go international. And so one of the things that we did recently, and we did a few years ago, is we said, who wants to lose 5 or 10 pounds? And everybody's like, oh, I want to lose 5 or 10 pounds. And we're like, in your closet. So go into your closet, find 5 or 10 pounds of stuff that you're no longer using, because we're in Canada and we buy a lot of stuff and we don't use it all very often. And then we just donated it to the Women's in Needs Shelter in Calgary.
Brilliant.
And so how hard is that?
It's not
super easy. Yeah. Like it's super easy, but now your whole team feels involved, right? Like we got the whole team involved in doing something like that. I mean, there's the breast cancer awareness walk, and and we get people out to doing stuff like that. I mean, we have the partnership walk that you saw online there. I was the chair of that for a couple of years, or 3 years here in Calgary. We raised that one right there. That year we raised over $1 million in Calgary for international development, because we know we got to help locally and we got to help internationally. And so we have what we call the Trec Foundation. 2% of all profit goes into the Trec Foundation. So right off the bat, every dollar we make in profit, 2% of it goes into the Trec Foundation. And then it allows us to do a lot more with that. But that foundation raises money, right? So the Trec Foundation does donations. To me, that's not what makes a difference, even though you'll say, well, that's a lot that we do. But to me, it's getting your team involved, finding ways to get your team involved every single day. Right? Little things that you can help people around. We did our team retreat in January. We closed all the offices. We made baskets that had diapers and baby wash and soothers and all this stuff. And we, again, donated it to a women's shelter so that, moms can have stuff. And our teams loved it. Like they get so enthused about doing stuff like that. And I always tell this story, and it kind of brings it back to when you give back unconditionally, or you just give without asking for anything in return, look what happens. So 7 years ago, I went on a trip to Peru, on a volunteer trip to do some dentistry. Lo and behold, this hygienist from Edmonton showed up on the same trip to Peru. And a year later, we were married, and now I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old. So I met my wife in Peru on a volunteer trip. She was a hygienist.
So cool.
Right?
That's amazing.
So you look at that and you say, how can you not give back? Like, I mean, look what the world gives you when you do little things to help other people. And you'll never know what those things are. Sometimes they hit you in the face like they did with me, but other times it's like little benefits that you'll see in life, but you feel good doing it. It fills your cup as well as helps others. And that's what I think is so ultimately important.
100%. And then now, does the team, like, do their families get involved, like their kids and whatnot? Are they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in certain events, we'll get their families involved if we can. Like obviously that Made by Mama's cooking, that was just for the teams. But we went to the to the food shelter once, and we kind of organized food. Like, you bring your family, bring your kids, get involved. When we did the partnership walk, we'd invite families and dogs, and like get everybody involved, right? Like
and that's the part I love, because it's we're always, I mean, we're in Langley, just a suburb outside of Vancouver. And we've, I've been involved with a few friends in the community and real estate agents and whatnot. We all kind of get together and same thing where we will donate to the Langley Christmas Bureau, or same thing where any chance we can grab to get our kids involved in giving back and being part of the community. To me, that seems like a really great platform to get your kids. Like, we have a 14-year-old boy, and I remember when he was like 7 or 8, I was just like, man, we need to get you in a soup kitchen. We need to get you like working with the community and finding out what it's like. You've got a pretty privileged lifestyle. Let's see that, hey, there's all these different multitudes of life, right? Like every income level, every age, every, illness out there. There's all these different things that I want you to get exposure to as my son, that I think that if I'm working for one of your practices as an employee, as a teammate, I'd be like, man, this is a great platform for me to bring my kids and show them, like, here's what giving back feels like. So
yeah.
I love that.
And you got to teach your kids, right? Like, I love that you say that, because it's funny. Like, my son, he's 5 years old, and, a year or two ago, he was asking, he's like, well, Dad, why do you always go to work? Right? Like, because you leave every morning and you have to go to work. Right. And we taught him from that age that it's like, so that we can live in this beautiful house and we can help other people live a better life. And so when I ask him, he's like, hey, you're going to work today, Dad? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, why am I going to work? And he's like, so we can live in this beautiful house and we can help other people, right? Because it's a combination of both. Like, you don't have to be the martyr and just give everything away. We're lucky. We're in dentistry. We do well. So we get to live a great life. We're in Calgary. We get to do all these amazing things. And then we get to help others as well. And so you have to balance that as often as you can. And you have to have those conversations with your team and your families as often as possible, because you want to build people that make a better society, right? I mean, and that's such an important part of what we do, is building a better society, because we have the ability to. We are blessed to be where we are right now.
Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's a mic drop moment right there.
I can't follow up. Yeah.
We can't really say much better than that.
I think it's our responsibility, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
this has been great. We love what you're doing, Jan, and just keep doing it. We're following everything you do. Is there anything else you want to share with us today? I mean, you've been very gracious with your time, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think this is great. I mean, again, for me, it's anytime we get to talk about helping others and being a part of society and taking care of our team first, right? I mean, those are the two things that ultimately drive me, is making sure our teams are taken care of, our families are taken care of, because our team is our family, and then helping others. But love to continue these conversations. And again, if we want to get into nitty gritties of the business side of things, I mean, we could talk about a lot about just how you do things. But to me, you can make it really simple. And if you just go with the simple part, you're going to be more successful, because we can just keep it at that, just do the right things and things happen.
And you're focused on the right things too. Like, I think, I posed that, the 3 troubles. I think you're the type of person that I'll just rather, I'll focus on the good things.
Focus on the 3 positives.
Because it kind of buries the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. One of my favorite podcasts is Simon Sinek, A Bit of Optimism.
Yes.
Right. I mean, like, let's look at the optimistic side of what's going on.
Yeah.
And we'll get there, right? Like, we'll solve the problems along the way. There are problems.
Yeah.
We're struggling with things. It's like, this person's not happy and something's going on. But let's look at how lucky we are. And if we start there, it's going to be easier to solve our problem.
I love it.
The news channels have the negative stuff, so don't worry. They've got that all buttoned up, right? They're doing that just a fine job of that. So let's focus on the positives.
Between social media and news, you can get all the bad. You can get all the bad information you need. And we're in an election right now, right? In Alberta, we're about to pick our our premier for the province, and it drives me just nutty as to all the stuff, all the advertisements that you hear. Nobody says, this is the amazing stuff we're about to do. It's like, this is why not to vote for Daniel Smith. This is why not to vote for Rachel Notley, because they're bad people. And you're like, man, like, is that really what we want to remember ourselves for, is how bad the other person is? Why don't we talk about what we can do to make Alberta better? But it's just, it's politics, right?
Yes.
Politics.
Yeah.
Name of the game.
Good luck with being positive in that scape. Yeah.
Well, we need more Trec Dental in our lives. We love your vision. We love your philosophy. And I have one ask of you.
Yes.
Can you come back on the show again?
I'd love to. I mean, okay. I love to. I love talking about stuff like this, and we can talk about different stuff. If you have more stuff that you want to know, we're open and willing to share anything. To be honest, like, I don't think dentistry is in competition with dentistry. We're in competition with the car dealerships and a trip to Mexico. Really, at the end of the day, so
we're in competition with ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we can help others and we can make it better for other Canadian dentists and dentists around the world, really, I mean, would love to. Absolutely.
I mean, that's kind of what we think, but
Yeah, yeah, you guys are doing the same thing, right? I mean,
and we're
'cause this
trying.
is it.
Yeah, we're
We're
trying.
trying to help people
Yeah,
do better, right?
exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
like that's what I love. I love being available to do stuff like this because we get to help people. Hopefully, if they're listening, and you guys got people listening, so hopefully it'll tweak something in somebody to change something in their lives that will make it better.
Love it.
So we've done our job.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We'll
I really appreciate it.
we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. You too.
Doesn't look like Calgary.
This is not Calgary.